Welcome back. Pearl Thusi is warning South Africans and tourists not to visit places that offer lion cub petting and lion walks. The actress is working with Humane Society International Africa. To explain why, she joins us now on News Hour. Good evening to you, Pearl. Thank you for coming on.
Good evening.
How did you become involved in such a project?
Well, they approached me and asked me to be involved. They became aware of my deep passion and history with the idea of being involved in wildlife conservation here in South Africa and possibly the rest of the world in the future. And they asked me if I could be involved, and I of course said yes, because I've known about canned lion hunting for a long time, and I've always looked for ways to try and help stop it instead of just talking about it randomly on my own on my social media platforms.
Give us an idea of how bad it is in South Africa.
Wow. So right now there are like maybe just under 3,000 wild lions in South Africa, but there are definitely over 200 and maybe an odd 50 places where they basically breed lions, and then they get cubs. We all come in and basically feed that system with money in order for them to be able to run this business when we come in and pet the cubs or walk with the lions. But ultimately the future of those lions is very grim, because they will be stuck in a cage one day and they definitely will be shot by some inexperienced hunter and killed. Their bones are going to be sent to Asia, and this still kind of puts to risk the wild lion's life, because now their bones are even more valuable. Tigers are almost extinct, so now lion's bone are being used as a replacement, where people think they're buying tiger's bones, but it's actually lion bone. And it's our national carrier who actually delivers these bones and increases the amount of bones that can go abroad. So we need to try and find a way to stop that. It's quite bad.
Those who are in favor of this practice are saying, you know, it's lion, they're petting the animals, they're walking them, it's fairly harmless, and it also makes money for the people who operate these sort of businesses in South Africa. So why not just continue with it, but find ways to make it safer?
You know, there are ways to hunt, and there are ways to raise lions and be exposed to being around lion cubs. You don't necessarily have to touch them, specifically because they get removed from their moms at about a few hours to maybe 3 days old, so that people can then at that point be exposed to, you know, little baby lions and touching them. But if you knew that, just like if you knew maybe the first time you do drugs, that at the end it's really going to cost someone a big deal by the end, I think maybe you would think twice about petting that lion, knowing that it's going to be stuck in a cage because you contributed to its life ending that way. I mean, as a South African society, how we treat our children, how we treat people who have nothing to offer us, and how we treat animals is going to be a big reflection of who we are. We say the lion is one of our big five. We say the lion is the king of the jungle. Why are we sticking it in cages and pointing guns and killing it so ruthlessly? It says a lot about us, and allowing people from abroad to come in and favor this. There are other ways to create jobs in the wildlife domain. It doesn't have to be this way. It's almost akin to poaching to me.
Do you think this issue is getting the attention it deserves here at home?
I really don't think so, because there is like that small portion of money that is being made for tourism. I think the government is not doing enough, because they actually do perpetuate this business of selling bones abroad and delivering carcasses to people in the States or Asia to display as trophies in their homes. There's culling, and then there's murdering a lion. And I think lions and all wildlife in South Africa deserve a lot better.
You've spoken about the role of government in trying to curb this problem. What action would you like to see the government of South Africa take in real terms to bring this down, if not get rid of it completely? Well,
firstly, I think it's to ban the lion hunting. That's the most important thing. And because the cub petting is how the cycle really begins, that needs to stop as well. If the places where they breed the lions can be shut down, because they do know some of them are, because right now it's still legal. If the national carrier can stop being the one airline that supports this business, then that would be really helpful as well, because how are they then going to get the carcasses and the bones abroad? What else? I think that's about it right now. And society for me is really the biggest a factor of this whole thing. If people at home can stop petting the lion cubs, and if people at home can take action and go to the websites that support and want to end this, then it's really up to us as a society to protect these lions, to love them, and to make sure that we create a positive environment for our wildlife, because really they are the biggest reason for all the tourism we get. It doesn't really give enough of a percentage for people to be a part of this in terms of the economy and the contribution this business makes to it.
You are clearly quite passionate about this issue. How then do other South Africans who are watching and listening to this conversation between us tonight become involved? You mentioned a website. Where do they go, and what can people do in their immediate communities to raise awareness?
So the Humane Society International website is the main one that you need to go to. So just go to Google them and go through, and there will be links there where they are petitioning for certain things to end, and with the right numbers we can basically petition for that. If you like rioting, or maybe rather campaigning against something, maybe we should go to those places and set people straight there and let them know that this is wrong. I think education is also the most important thing. Going to communities and educating people, which is a next leg for me of doing this, and letting them know what's going to happen. Maybe show your kids, maybe show people around your area the Bloodlines movie, because that really paints a very clear, vivid, but very grim picture of what this business is really all about and the people behind it.
Pearl, thank you so much for coming on to the program. That was South African actress and wildlife advocate Pearl Thusi speaking to us on NewsHour.